We have had an amazing 5 years filled with great moments. Great moments that have been a great source of inspiration and training. These moments over time have equipped us through the journey so far and the journey ahead. Here is a documentary we put together to tell you our story as we celebrate 5 years of conviction, determination, and sacrifice.
I pray you have that consistent faith. And my spirit is with you. And my heart is with you. I love you all very much. I've given my heart to this church. Give me everything I have. Come on, bro. I pray you'll do the same. Because Jesus is worth it.
In 2015, we started planning to move to Africa, and we were initially slated to move to Johannesburg, South Africa. We had our very first African Missions Conference in Abidjan, Ivory Coast, and at that conference was your very own Dr. Benedict. He had traveled through several countries to get to the African Missions Conference because he was seeking out the new movement. Amen. So he met with Kip, he met with Andrew, Blaze. I think he also met with Blaze, and they studied the Bible. And after prayer and the African Missions Conference in Abidjan, Kip told us that he thought that we should have a change of plans, and that the church that we should plant in 2016 should be Lagos, Nigeria, and not Johannesburg, South Africa. And for us, changing the plans changed so much.
It wasn't easy. I never expected it to be easy anyway, but because I was convinced that what I am doing was the right thing, that it kind of solidified, my conviction.
I got a couple of emails from Andrew Smelly and Guru, who was leading the Remnant Group at that time. And then I saw the location where the address that was sent to me for where the Remnant Group meets. And it was a place that I've never heard of before. I was born and raised in Lagos, so that I never heard of this place was mind-blowing.
Then I was called to go to Lagos, and let me just put it like this. The hoods in the US are doing good for themselves. They're doing good. They have issues. There's a lot of issues there, a lot of serious issues, but Lagos was a different level.
At the point in time, there wasn't any church in Abuja. Because 2016 was when the church was going to be planted in Lagos. So at the point in time, I was serving, and I made a decision, to move to Lagos at the end of my service here.
It was very nerve-wracking. I was very nervous because I had made every effort that I could to actually stay back in London after I got baptized. I tried to get a job after my master's degree. I got a couple of interviews lined up which I attended, but none of them proved successful. So I had to come back because my visa was expiring, and I was very nervous because I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know who I was going to meet. I didn't know who I was going to be coming back to. I knew there was a Remnant Group, but I didn't know who they were or where they were located. And as the team actually got on the plane, I still had no idea who the Remnant Group was consisting of and where we were going to be meeting. And so literally everything was still up in the air as I boarded the plane to leave London.
The sacrifice of my dad encouraged me a lot because, my dad is somebody I look up to. He's like my spiritual leader over the years.
As time grew on, I grew very close to the remnant group. Of course, was made up of the Atterson family, Good Hope, his wife, his brother Bob. And it was a great time. It was a special time. We'd have service together. After service, Bonita would make an amazing lunch, that I would sit back and enjoy as well. Even sometimes I would take like a little nap if I had started heading back to my house. And of course, through that, I got to meet, Uncle Bolaji and his family as well. And it was a really special time to just really bond with these heroes in the faith.
The peak of it was, when I visited the church in Los Angeles. I saw people who had conviction, who were fired up doing the will of God. For me, I had no reason whatsoever not to key in and do what is right.
It was just a change of thinking, because South Africa was the focus for so long. But then you see God's plan is so perfect.
Bolaji was in there receiving advices and here and there from Andrew. So that's a kind of, we built a very strong team, at that point. And of course, Andrew was visiting. I think he did visit for about 2 times before finally the mission team came. So yeah, we did great.
We knew that we were going to get to Africa at some point, but we just didn't know when. And as I said, like she said, it was going to be South Africa. But then I saw the wisdom of God, because Nigeria is the giant of Africa. And it was remarkable just to think that, I to this day, I truly believe that it was best that we went to Nigeria first. No question at all. 110%.
What is your good confession?
Jesus is Lord!
I had to come back home. I remember feeling distraught and afraid because I didn't want to be without the kingdom. But I think God made it pretty clear that He wanted me in Nigeria.
Coming to Lagos was probably the top 3 decision I ever made in my life.
It's helped me to see why it's important to be able to give, why it's important to be able to serve and sacrifice. It's helped me to see the importance of just one soul, in the kingdom of God.
Moving to Lagos, Nigeria, God was actually answering my prayer. Amen. And He was helping me to go into a situation that was uncomfortable, a different culture. There were different languages spoken in Lagos. We had never been to Lagos, Nigeria.
I had to make sure that I was out of the house by 7 a.m. to be able to get there by 10. And then the same amount of time it takes to be able to travel back as well. And so that was a test of faith, it was a test of my character. Because for me, I was faced with the fact that, okay, would I make every effort to fellowship with disciples who were in this remnant group, or would I water down my convictions and, maybe worship at a false doctrine church close by?
Like having to wait for my parents, like wait for them while they have to disciple people, be in these certain meetings, attend these certain discussions and everything. And as a child, I had to wait for them, be it hungry, thirsty, just had to wait till they were done and then we finally go home.
It was tough trying to have a balance, because from the beginning, I served in the ministry. I served like my youth service. That was how much I wanted the ministry. I didn't want anything to come between me and God, or anything that will pollute my passion for saving souls. And so every single thing, every experience I had was in the ministry. And so having to come out and then go into the secular world, it was tough.
Somehow I got a job that I didn't lobby for, that I didn't even apply for. And I went for the interview. The guy was like, I want you, and long story short, I got the job. But it was a bit confusing for me, because I felt like if God gave me something I did not ask for, then He wanted me to keep it. And it conflicted with my decision to, move to Lagos at the end of the year, and I was just confused.
And so coming back to having to count the cost, to quit after 11 years, to go back to the ministry, I had mixed feelings. I thought of the human part of it, being led by people and the different things that happened in our former fellowship. It was a tough cost to count because I remember at that point, for the first time in my working life, my salary was increased like twice in a year. I mean, this was like before half of the year. And so you can imagine that was like Satan just fighting to just want to get me. I'm like, okay, I have to make a decision.
So the next day I went to, so I accepted the job. I did like a day. The next day I wrote my resignation, and I went to my line manager was the person who interviewed me. I went to him, I was like, look, I'm quitting my job and I'm going to Lagos. I know you don't understand. I'm going to Lagos because I need to be with the church. I made a promise to God, and I'm making this decision, and I want to, go to Lagos. And he didn't understand, but he respected that. And then after I made that decision, I spoke to my parents that, hey, this is what I'm doing.
For every single one of us as disciples, we must be driven by the passion for the kingdom of God, and also to be aware of the fact that with passion comes suffering.
And I remember going to the brother's household, and I remember just stepping into the brother's household and, no lights, it really felt like coming from Egypt where, everything is awesome, light, water, food, and going into the wilderness, like darkness. And I remember, in the nights there was no lights and I just lay down on the floor, and I remember just being like, look, I came to Lagos to suffer. And, it was one of those moments, just a surreal moment. And I was like, hey man, this is a decision I've made because of my relationship with God. And I knew that if I didn't make that decision, where I would be, even though I would be very comfortable in Abuja, my mental and my spiritual state of mind, I cannot vouch for it.
The call to be a disciple is a life of endurance, okay? Because contrary to, the belief of people out there in the world is that once you're a disciple, suffering is out of the window, but that is not the truth, okay? Because he said that we need to deny ourselves and take up a cross daily.
Every single person that has come in and gone out, aside many people that I met here, but like every single person that was like baptized here, I know. I saw them study the Bible, I saw them make it, I saw them struggle, I saw some leave.
The truth is that when people are hot, they take the back seat, and they're whining, they're grumbling and sulking.
I've seen some roughs, and I've seen a lot of diamonds, but there are no diamonds like the ones I've seen in Lagos.
Becoming a Christian, that radical change of no smoking, no drinking, no impurity, was definitely tough. And so I definitely felt abnormal in a lot of situations at some point.
Becoming a disciple was difficult. It was an experience. It was a rugged process that we had to go through because there was this tendency to feel like we already know it all, and so what is there to know again? But there was also this side of us that were like, we know this, so we have to obey it. It came in like two forms.
For young people, they have a lot of influencers. There's social media, they have their peers, but most importantly, they have their families. Especially as Nigerians, our families play a huge part. And so for a lot of them, choosing to be a disciple would mean just departing from the family way.
Leading the church there, one of the things that really stood out to me was just the character of our campus students that were willing to endure persecution. Getting, sadly even beat by their own parents, but still coming out to church, escaping through windows. It was like that. It was intense. Yeah. And so I think for me, I was just really blown away by just the strength, the perseverance, the willingness to suffer, to give their best to God. We saw a character that truly, I believe, can be kind of the leadership backbone for all of Africa.
to become more knowledgeable about different situations. I had to become more knowledgeable about different traumatic experiences. I had to become a different woman. I had to become Nigerian in a way. You know as much as you can.
Everything is an episode in Lagos. Going into the bus, episode. Crossing the street, episode. Keke, when it was there. The Okadas, episode. Trying to get some food, but everyone wants food, so now you got to assert yourself and make sure you get in front of the line, episode. Late nights, after a long day, sharing your faith, working hard, having Bible talk, all those type of things. You're just praying that you can find a Messiah that's open, and you find one, it's the one that you like. If you have funds that week, you get to eat it with suya.
You light? What's light? Hey, you may get light, you may not. Hey.
We were going to send out a mission team to Johannesburg. There was so much work to be done in Lagos, and so, when I got the call, I knew that it was what God wanted me to do, especially because I had been praying and fasting about it.
It really didn't come easy because I had to wrestle with, the call. I had to wrestle with the call to go into the full-time ministry.
But one of the biggest things that has kept me faithful is I never want to go back to the life I lived before I became a Christian. And so even if people complain or people walk away, it's like, man, that's you, man. Like, I'm not going back to that life. And so I've reached where I would die. So it's like...
faithfulness is, I guess just making the decision to have the courage to, just be there regardless of, the circumstances that you cannot control.
It was very hard to leave. It was very hard, and that's the way it should be.
To see God's glory. We walked in with 11 people. We walked out with over 150 disciples that said Jesus is Lord. Not only did Lagos help me restore my relationship in God, it helped me to restore my view of humanity, God's creation.
It was a privilege to be able to make Lagos, Nigeria our home. Not for 3 days, not for 3 weeks, not for 3 months, but for 3 years plus.
Lagos is a very peculiar church, and I'm grateful for every bit of experience, even the not so great ones.
I believe that if the church in Nigeria expands and converts as many people as possible, that those people, they can go to the ends of the earth.
That's right.
I totally believe 100%. That.
Everything happened the way it's supposed to happen.
And it's something I would love to do over and over again, if the need calls me.
God has called me for this, and this I will continue to do so that His name is glorified.
So I do pray that, every disciple in the Lagos church, through the experiences and the hardships, can be mature, become mature, in their faith.
Grow to greater heights and, do even greater things.
It's like 5 years is really not a long time. It's like a growing process. And I feel like we're going to get to that point where things are going to be super fruitful. There'll be more people, more work, more fun, more challenges, but I believe it's going to be great.
We know you got a lot of hidden gems, not hidden for long, because we know that gospel is going to be taken to all of West Africa because of the sacrifices that Lagos makes.
You are the pillar church for all of West Africa and beyond.
We can't wait to see the many amazing things that God will continue to do in this church.
Thank you again as we celebrate your 5th anniversary.
5 years strong.
We are still marching on.
Poised for battle.
So congratulations, Lagos.
Happy